when you're in a period of building, it's important for you to be very clear on the vision because you'll be pulled into different directions and everyone will have opinions on what they think you should be doing, or you might even start to second guess yourself. But ultimately, if the vision is there in plain sight, you can refer to that vision and know that that is your point of direction when you do get lost. Hey, real ones, and welcome to a new episode of Real with Rayo. It's just me, just both of us. It's a solo episode today. As you guys will realize, I'm still in the studio. Fun fact, I have just recorded my episode with Dila, but I was able to get 3 hours in the studio. So I just thought, you know what, why not film a solo episode today? And today I just want to talk about the rebirth era so far, be very candid with you guys on some of the things that have been going on behind the scenes, but also just a huge appreciation and a huge moment to reset and reflect. And I hope that this resonates with you with whatever you're going through. So, firstly, I just want to start off by saying thank you so much. I knew I wanted to relaunch the podcast, but I didn't know that I was going to do it in this way. There have been so many times in this journey that it has just been God, truthfully. You guys know, a week after my friend passed away, I relaunched the podcast because it was a week after my birthday. And relaunching the podcast then has just meant that I have accepted my fears and trusted God and trusted the process and understanding that things don't have to be perfect before I present myself out there. I can just show up as raw and as authentic and as broken as I was truly. Today's episode is about something I've been thinking a lot lately, the butterfly effect. You've probably heard the phrase before, how a butterfly flapping its wings in one part of the world can eventually cause a storm in other parts of the world. Because it's a poetic way of saying small actions can create big, unexpected changes. It's the idea that you meet someone or a situation happens and then it just starts to propel itself into something bigger and something better. And it could be sending one message or receiving one DM that can change the trajectory of your life. And I think about how sometimes in the creative world, we're always looking for that one thing. If you're an artist, you're chasing that one hit. If you're a podcaster or a social content creator, you want that one viral video, or if you have a business, you want that one client that can just change the trajectory of your life. I call them destiny helpers because I truly believe that if you're aligned with what God wants you to do, He will send destiny helpers to help you on this journey because you cannot do it by yourself. But one thing that's important to recognize is trusting that and being able to lean into the obedience that comes with it. For a long time, I found it really hard to almost understand why some aspects of my life were going good, while other aspects of my life were going bad. And that contention between, like, why can't everything just be okay at once, has made me realize that actually it's never going to happen, but the process is in the journey. And it's important for me to recognize each day that I am taking one step closer to fulfill my dream. And my dream is to have an amazing podcast that creates value for so many people and propels their journey of self discovery and self development, but also telling stories of hope from the guests I have on this podcast. As I said earlier, I just recorded with Deela, and she was so brilliant because I don't know her personally, but it's so clear that she's very clear on who she is. And I think, one, that's very attractive. But also, when you're in a period of building, it's important for you to be very clear on the vision because you'll be pulled into different directions and everyone will have opinions on what they think you should be doing, or you might even start to second guess yourself. But ultimately, if the vision is there in plain sight, you can refer to that vision and know that that is your point of direction when you do get lost. I also want to talk about the loneliness that entrepreneurship and being a creative can bring. It's so crazy that you are so obsessed with your dream and your vision, and there's nobody else that might share that same excitement and that spark. And sometimes you're speaking to people and they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're like, no, yeah. Like, you want that vim. You want to feel that push. And being able to carry that light, even though others around you might not be able to see it, is so interesting to me because ultimately, if it's not someone else's dream, unless you're absolutely blessed and privileged, I would naturally expect that they're just not going to care as much because they have their own dreams, as they should, right? Like it's, not really a problem, but also understanding that that spark that you have is supposed to be ignited. You're supposed to carry that flame with everything that you do because you carrying that flame, you don't really know what it's doing for other people around you. In my last solo episode, I spoke about the invisible string theory and how sometimes we're actually a lot closer to our dreams because we're being tied by an invisible string. We can't see, even the Bible talks about it, like we see parts and God sees the full picture, but you just have to trust that ultimately you're going to be where you're supposed to be. And I think it's the same with knowing that you have to obey and God will bring all the right things and all the right resources to you. Some of the things I've struggled with in this podcast is just the financial side of it and also feeling like I have to do it all by myself. As you guys know, I work in brand partnerships as well. And as much as I love my job, it does take up most of my time because it is my main source of income. But then at the same time, building Real with Rayo, it's such a beautiful and different feeling. I tap into a different side of myself when I'm creating or brainstorming for this than when I'm doing my 9 to 5 job. And one thing that has really made me power through is knowing that there's a reason why I'm supposed to do this. This is all part of the journey. And regardless of what the circumstances or what the obstacles might look like, I'm supposed to be doing it. And the right people would meet me exactly where I'm at. As you guys know, I love to have guests on the show because I truly think we can learn from so many people. And with having guests on the show, is doing outreach emails and reaching out to people, and sometimes you don't necessarily get a reply. Sometimes people don't really see messages, and sometimes they're like politics involved, and there's always one reason or the other why something works out and something doesn't. And it's made me extra appreciative of the people that do come on the show because I truly feel like those are the people that are supposed to be on the show. Like they are the real ones. They are people that you guys are supposed to see and watch. So there's the level of energetic and spiritual trust that I have when it comes to building this. And I think it's not spoken about enough because truly when you're building, you're looking at things from like a systematic point of view. You're looking at the numbers, you're looking at the data, which is very important because I have been doing that. And my goodness, the data tells on itself. But that aside, I really want more women to speak about leaning into their intuition while they're building and trusting their gut and trusting that they're making the right decisions, even though it might be the unpopular decision, because I truly feel that has been a consistent thread in my life. When I trust myself and I trust my decision, I have been right 10 out of 10 times, like never ever wrong. But when I second guess myself or a little too late till I make a decision that I know I should have made earlier on, it has a cost. And at some point, these costs are getting more expensive because it's not cost in terms of like monetary cost, but it's like cost in terms of like my self belief or my motivation or my trust. And all these great and beautiful things that God has gifted us with are so expensive because it's the essence of who you are. And those things need to be protected because they are a part of your heart. And the more you subscribe yourself to people or systems that drain you and are not true to who you are, the more depleted you are energetically and also monetarily if it comes down to it. So it's just been really interesting seeing how everything ties itself into being who you are. And building is such a lonely phase, whether you're building like podcast as well, or you're building a business, or you're building your personal brand, one thing I will say that I have learned is also being able to lean on other people and their expertise, because it's very unlikely you're good at every single thing. Don't be scared to outsource, because for a long time, creatives were taught to just like wear every single hat until you can't. While that is true to some extent, well, if you have the capacity to outsource, then that's also a beautiful thing. Dila spoke about how her friend, who's also like a stylist, did a lot of resource for her for free. And I just think that is so real and so rare nowadays. A lot of people just are not going to do that. So leaning into people that really believe in you in a real way, not a monetary way or a transactional way, and appreciating them, I think that really goes a long way, because it's truly, truly rare. I want to also talk about like silent expectations you have from people while you're building. In Tosin's episode, The Real on Creative Success, we spoke about not caring too much about how much your friends support you and how much your friends believe in you. And I said truthfully, it used to bother me back in the day, because you guys know I've been doing this for a minute now. But now I've come to realize that ultimately what I'm building is bigger than what their opinion is and how much support they give to me. Because as long as I'm honoring what God has placed in my heart to do and I'm being true to me, then I should reap what I've sown, right? But I also think it's interesting how sometimes people don't really believe in you until it's popular to believe in you. And I don't know what it is about humanity that makes people like that, but I really think it's interesting and I think it should change. If you like something, give a compliment, say it. It doesn't cost you anything. Like, it's literally free to give a compliment. Mean it, of course, but don't hold back. If you enjoyed something, give feedback. If you thought something was great, say it. We need more expression, and you don't lose anything from telling someone how great they are. If anything, you invite that energy from for you as well from other people. So I don't really know why sometimes people hold back. It could be maybe it just isn't that good, because I think sometimes we always, well, not we always, but people think, oh yeah, everyone's just hating on me. But it's like, actually, what if it's just not that good? That's fair. I mean, I'm all about real and honesty. So if something is not great, then fair. You go back to the drawing board and work on it. But if you know it is good and you recognize people holding back to tell you how good you're doing, pay attention, because I think those subtle things really show you the real and what's not real. Because like Dina and I said, like it's just really whack to believe in someone because it's popular to believe in them, or because you think you can gain something from them. That's low, you know? But don't ever let that discourage you while you're building, and just know that the vision has to be clear. The vision has to be clear. There's a Bible verse I'm thinking about. I think it's in Habakkuk. I have to find it. Yes, Habakkuk 2, verses 2 to 3. Write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak, and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. It's also super important for us to just trust that what we're working towards is going to come to fruition regardless of what it looks like. I have to remind myself every single day. Lato has a lyric in a song Shout Out to Me, and it says positive affirmations, reminding myself, and that's real. You have to continuously remind yourself regardless of what obstacles you're facing. So that's something that I knew I would have needed to do, but I didn't really know how much I have to keep reminding myself of this, because if I don't remind myself of this, who will? You know, it's nice to get validation from other people. It's nice to get comments, views, likes, and everything. But ultimately, God and my creativity is the source. So that also has to be replenished. And that looks different for everyone. But I think it's also important for us to find the ways that we can replenish that source, because it's sacred and it should be protected in every single way possible. So, yeah, back to the crux of the episode, the butterfly effect. Sometimes little moments often feel insignificant when they happen, because you're living in it. It's your day to day life. It's just a regular part of your routine and your schedule. But that's what makes it really beautiful because you never know what would change everything. And having that excitement and sense of promise and hope has actually kept me going because I'm like, ooh, I don't know which one will just completely change the trajectory of my story and my life. But instead of chasing that one, it's like approaching every single thing I do with I want this to live up to the standard that I have created and the consistency and the vision that I have promised myself. So today I want to leave you with this. What's one small action you could take this week, knowing it might lead to something extraordinary? You might not see the result tomorrow, but that's the magic of the butterfly effect. You never know when it's coming. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today on a solo episode. I hope you found value from this, and I hope I sparked a new idea or a new thought process. Please let me know. And as always, your engagement is massively appreciated. I love you, and I'll see you in my next one.